Hey everybody, my name is Mike. I just wanted to make a little video and testament about my Watchtower and Jehovah Witness experience in my life and to give you guys hope. There is a truth and a hope when you leave the organization. I get really heartbroken when I see people turn to atheism and anger, and I understand that the Watchtower lied about some things, and it really, when you put your faith in something your whole life and you really believe it to be the truth, it really shatters your world. I really was just lost for a while in my mind and soul. I'm praying, what is that? It's hard to really grasp of what's next when you're indoctrinated into believing that's the truth. But believe me, I'm here to show you and to tell you it is not the truth. Okay. But before we get into that, I just want to give a little rundown about my story and who I am and what it is in my life with the Watchtower. Since I was a little kid, I was in the second grade. They started giving me my mother, I should say. She was a single mom of 3 kids, maybe 2 at the time, actually. And she got a Bible study for us, and it started around that time. And something, I just took to God right away. It was like I never doubted God in my life, ever. It's just an internal, I just knew that God, and then learning, you get indoctrinated with the Watchtower side of things. And, they do teach a lot of truth. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of truths that they teach you, but that's how they get you on the important stuff. Once they get you to trust them, they can deceive you. And it's not the individual witnesses. These are good people that they really think that they're in the truth, but they're not. My mother is still a witness, and I battled trying to have a relationship with her and talk with her. She not talk with her, we communicate, but talk with her about lies with the Watchtower or religious things. But I don't want to get off pace, but so long story short, I had the Bible study when I was young, and then so I had it introduced then, and I always had it in my life, knowing that, believing, that was the truth. I went to school not saying the Pledge of Allegiance, believing I was doing God a justice, which might still be true, there's still some things to that. But anyway, long story short, I grew up with it. So later on comes into my life around, I was getting in the 9th grade, and my mother started getting really serious with the JWs, and I was staying with her at the time in Clearwater, Florida. And she got me a Bible study. I actually was very open to it. I wanted to do it. I believe she asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said yes. And I started learning with them and really believing that that was the truth and all that. They like everybody else that studies with them. And let's see. So I ended up moving with my father with Ohio, and I got my own Bible study. I called them up or whatever, or they showed up at my door actually. And I started a Bible study with them for a while, and I was starting to go to the truth and all the, well, what I thought was the truth at the time. And, I was doing good. Something always though, and started when I was really reading and studying the Bible, a lot of this stuff made sense, but a lot of things just internally felt wrong to me. I mean, I could just get into a long list of things, but for the sake of the shortness of the video, I'll try to just avoid that for right now. But there's certain things just internally that I just knew wasn't right. I don't know. And I see some things that I felt like they were pulling out of context and kind of, but anyway, getting past all that. So let's see, later. So then later, this is later on in my life, fast forwarding, because I ended up kind of breaking up with that. And I was young. I was a teenager. I was still having fun with my friends, and I wasn't real serious about it. I was learning it. And I loved God, and in all my free time, I read the Bible. and all that stuff. But I just kind of left the organization and was just being a teenager, you know. So fast forwarding, I turned 22, 23 years old, and I'm living in Florida. And I got real serious with the organization. I started attending every meeting, going to every ministry school. I was going out in field service. I became an unbaptized publisher. I never got baptized as the JW, but I was an unbaptized publisher. And I did that for about 10 months, maybe 11. I mean, I was super serious, and I loved it, you know, it was good, but it's not about your relationship with the Watchtower, it's your relationship with God. Well, I learned this later, but we'll get to this. So anyway, I fell away from them on accident. I didn't mean to. I kind of, man, it was an old girlfriend got me and drank. I went out and had drinks, and I never drank. Or man, it was just a bad mistake, and I ended up having fornication, and it just destroyed me. I went into self-destruct mode, and I lived in darkness. You know, I started doing bad things, doing drugs, and not doing well. You know, so anyway, years later, I was like, man, you know, I really want to get back into the truth. And I felt remorse and I felt bad for the lifestyle I had had and for leaving them. And I started calling other witnesses, older people, and asked them, you know, hey, can you guys, because I live on a Marco Island. It's a small island, and the Kingdom Hall is like 20 miles away. So it's hard for me to get there. I don't drive. At the time, I wasn't driving. And so I asked him if they'd take me, and the guy said, oh, yeah, he was really nice. Yeah, I would love to take you. I hang up, and 10 minutes go by, and the wife calls. No, if you want to be serious about it, then you need to take your own initiative and be serious and go. And here I am really trying. I mean, I was crying, not because of the phone call before that. I was like having eye-opening things, and I was on the floor crying to God. And, you know, here I am trying to reach out and see if people take me to church, and I ended up with just a cold shoulder. So anyway, I started finding my own way there, but it kind of rubbed me weird, you know. So I started finding my own way there and having a Bible study and all that, and doing my thing and meeting them at the library so we could have a Bible study. And I got into a situation where someone was in the hospital, and I ended up having to drive without a license. And I ended up pulled over and got a driving under suspension. And I never drive without a license. It was literally an emergency situation. And I got a driving under suspension. And so because of that, they canceled my study. They wouldn't study with me anymore. Pretty much shunned me. Told me, you know, I'm not being serious or whatever. And they're going to cancel my study. So I was like a kick in the rear end. Like, where's the love, man? Like, I just, man. So I really started just seeing a lack of love too, you know? But still, ignorantly, you believe it's the truth your whole life. And, man, I did something wrong and I had to pay for it, and I did a little time in jail. And during that time, I swear to you, God like taught me revelation like I had never seen it before. It was the most amazing thing. Every time I had a question and I'm praying about it, I open up and boom, it's like I'm opening right to it. I ended up cross-referencing my entire Revelation scriptures all over the place. Like, it's the craziest thing. Like, I've never been able to read Revelation and see the truth about it the way I was. Man, it's all about like martyrs, people not taking the mark. And, you know, they say the great crowd. Let me tell you, that great crowd is martyrs. That's people in the great tribulation that refuse the mark. That's who the great crowd is. And they're in heaven. Anyway, I'm not going to get into doctrinal stuff right this second, but